I'll be honest, fellas, it was sounding great, but I could have used a little more cowbell.
It's time to jump into DraftKings. Go to DraftKings today at DraftKings.com. Golf, NASCAR, soccer, you name it. And of course, Major League Baseball, basketball, hockey, and football. Go to DraftKings.com. Listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks for DFS advice all year round.
Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure that's going to be there it is. Another flag on the play.
Multiple flags on the play. Holding. Offense number 97. That penalty was declined. Touchdown. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 22. Penalty will be applied to the kickoff.
This is going to be one of the strangest calls.
That son of a... You playing against Dick this week? Yeah. Could be worse, man. When I played against him, he ejected all my players.
What?
Armchair.
Lager, the beer that brought the forest down. I drive an exotic imported sports car. I eat exotic foreign food like frankfurters and pizza. But when it comes to numbing my mind, I'm a patriot. I drink the beer that brought the forest down. I'm a lager man. And with the new 80-bottle trunk pack, you've got enough for the evening. Hey, it's happy hour somewhere. Lager brings out the patriot in you.
The Armchair Quarterbacks, ESPN Radio's public enemy number one. Weekdays, your first choice for sports talk here in the Southeast.
What happens when 5 eligible bachelors welcome a little girl into their lives?
Hey, it's my turn in the bathroom.
Non-stop hilarity. My 5 uncles.
Hey, Gina, welcome to your new home. You sleep in there, and we all sleep in here.
The show that shows family values exist even in unconventional families.
Oh, what are you guys doing in there?
Taking hilarious comedy in a whole new funny direction.
I don't get it. Why don't any of you guys have a steady girlfriend? I'm an emotionally abused orphan. Can I get in on any of these group hugs?
My 5 uncles, Thursday nights on LSBC.
I only had a brain.
You're riding Morning Shotgun, your first choice for sports talk here on the First Coast, only on
Armchair.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines 2 of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infidium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes. And what a lovely morning.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Armchair.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks, CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Major League Baseball will get your hump day rolling at 2:10 Eastern when the Yankees are in Kansas City with Brady Singer on the mound. At 7:05, it's the Cardinals and the Pirates. Adam Wainwright and Will Crowe face-to-face. Rays and Red Sox continue. Yarborough and Eovaldi fighting for AL East dominance in Beantown. 7:20 Eastern, Hotlanta, GA, home of your Atlanta Braves, They host the Cincinnati Reds and Wade Miley. Tukey Toussaint is expected on the hill for the Bravos. 8:05 Eastern, Freddie Peralta, Kyle Hendricks. It's Brewers and Cubs again. Milwaukee running away with the NL Central. Other games on the docket. White Sox and Twins, 1:10, Lance Lynn and Bailey Olber. At 2:10 Eastern, it's Antonio Senzatella and Framber Valdez. Rockies are at the Astros. And at 4:10, you've got the Marlins and Sandy Alcantara, his 3.70 ERA in San Diego to face the Friars and Ryan Weathers. At 7 o'clock on ESPN, your national game of the night. David Price, the Los Angeles Dodgers, they're in Philadelphia. The Phillies hosting La La Land with Kyle Gibson towing the rubber. Tigers and Orioles, Skubal and Harvey at 7:05. You got Frankie Montas, Cal Quantrill. A's are in Cleveland. Nats and Mets, Joe Ross and Marcus Stroman as New York tries to turn it all around this week. Blue Jays are at the Angels, Alex Manoah and Dylan Bundy. And at 9:45 Eastern, it's Merrill Kelly and the Arizona Diamondbacks versus the Giants and Alex Wood. Your nightcap, Spencer Howard and Tyler Anderson, Rangers are at the Mariners. The Alabama Crimson Tide are overwhelmingly number one in the coaches poll preseason that was released on Tuesday. Lofty expectations are nothing new for Bama, which had been ranked 3 or higher in each of the past 12 preseason polls released by the Coaches Association. So here's how the coaches poll looks going into week number 1. The big names throughout the Southeast and the Midwest. Number 1 is Alabama, followed by number 2, the Clemson Tigers. The Oklahoma Sooners are number 3 with Ohio State 4th and Georgia rounding out the top 5. Texas A&M from the Southeastern Conference sits at 6, while the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are at number 7. Iowa State is 8th, North Carolina number 9, and the Cincinnati Bearcats sneak into the top 10 to start it all off. Number 11, you got the Florida Gators, with the LSU Tigers at number 13, and the Miami Hurricanes sitting at 16th in the country. They'll face Alabama on opening day. Indiana and Iowa sit at 17th and 18th respectively, while the Texas Longhorns, who are due to escape the Big 12, are 19th in the land. Penn State is 20th, Coastal Carolina 24th, and the Fighting Lane Kiffins at Ole Miss, they sit at number 25, finishing out the preseason poll. The college football season begins in earnest Thursday, September 2nd, with a full slate hitting you right in the face on the 3rd and the 4th that same weekend. The 2020 preseason for the Green Bay Packers looks like it's going to be the Jordan Love show. Coach Matt LaFleur said on Tuesday that quarterback Aaron Rodgers will most likely not play at all in the preseason. That likely has little or nothing to do with Rodgers' offseason, in which he voiced concerns about the organization. Rodgers' last preseason action came in 2018 when he played only one series. For Love, it will be the first game action of any kind since January 25th, 2020 in the Senior Bowl. The Packers' first-round pick did not play at all as a rookie last year, and there were no preseason games due to the pandemic. LaFleur said that Love will take, quote, the majority of the game snaps on Saturday, unquote, against the Texans. Kurt Benkert will finish it up. The Packers have only 3 quarterbacks in camp after releasing Blake Bortles and Jake Dolagola. And that's your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast. Get ready for fantasy football. Your draft is just around the corner, and the Armchair Quarterbacks have you covered. It's the Handicappers, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Mock drafts, cheat sheets, sleepers, and busts. It's the Armchair Quarterbacks Handicappers on YouTube Live. We'll give you everything you need to dominate your leagues. Watch the Handicappers Saturdays, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time, because getting ready for your fantasy football draft is more important than whatever the hell you're thinking about right now. Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays. YouTube Live, the Armchair Quarterback Show. Your first choice for Southern Sports Talk. Good morning, Mr. Sean O'Toole.
Good morning, Mr. Mac McGee. I don't know much, but I know one thing. I would like to wake up this morning and turn on ESPN and see the same batch of talking heads and women and people of color coming out and saying, oh, we're so sorry. We didn't listen to the audio before we accused Rockies fans of being racist. Did I see that this morning? No, wasn't on Get Up, wasn't on Sports Center last night, but I saw 3 hours of programming 2 days ago talking about the dangers of fans using unpopular and, disgusting words. Nothing yesterday when it was revealed by Major League Baseball's investigation that the name of the mascot, which is unfortunately pretty close to what people thought was being said, is what the guy was actually saying. And there were actually video recordings from people sitting in the guy's area who showed that he was trying to talk to the Rockies mascot. Do better. Everybody has to do better. Everybody who's listened to this program knows I'm far from a right-wing person.
What's the problem? I'm catching on the hosel, right? Yeah, right. Moving my head. Yeah. I'm laying it off. Well, that too. I'm pronating. When you're not supinating. I'm clearing too early. I'm clearing too late. My God, my swing feels like an unfolding lawn chair. All right. Take all your change and put it in your left-hand pocket. Go on, do it, Roy. Tie your left shoe in a double knot. Turn your hat around backwards. Turn your hat around. Do it, Roy. Now take this T and stick it behind your left ear. I look like a fool. What the hell do you think you look like shooting them chili peppers up Lee Jansen's ass? Well, what next? I should recommend that you work on a short game, but I think you ought to get drunk. Get drunk? You always play better when you're wasted. Thanks to the finely tuned athlete on the verge of greatness.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I don't know much, but I know one thing. That was the most long-winded damn intro. Sorry, but I had to mute you because I was like, we've run out of bed music. I've never had that happen. How are you today, Sean?
I'm fine. I was a little wound up about the whole Brinson thing, but I'm fine now.
By the way, it doesn't go without me noticing. This happened in Denver, Colorado. Didn't happen in Atlanta, Georgia. I thought Atlanta, Georgia was the one that was racist.
Right. Yeah. It happened in one of the wokest places in the country.
How about it? Shocking. It's so funny. It comes full circle. Yeah. Woke because the demographics is like 99.9% white.
Yeah, sure. Woke.
It's the way it always is. Oh, man, we're accepting of everyone as long as you don't live around us. Let's go ahead. I love everybody just as long as my, have a really big gate. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the problems at hand. Major League Baseball, man, we got some pennant races. We got some pennant chases, and it is heating up. This is the best time of year to me because football is around the corner. Today we are doing Buckeyes and Bengals breakdowns. Now we will also probably touch on the Browns because we did the Browns several weeks ago. We're going to kind of like revisit it. At the time, I didn't have it fully drawn up, and if I had, I would have done all three today. But anyways, we'll probably just touch on them. But it's Bengals and Buckeyes Day, so let's get going with some Major League Baseball, and then we will dive into that. Okay, last night, Sean, I felt like that the Atlanta Braves got a huge win because
win.
Dude, that's one of those games where I'm watching it, and I'm like, I felt like we lost that game. I feel like Cincinnati played a much better game than we did. Somehow we find a way to win. Now, look, that just goes to show because how many times have we watched games this year and you're like, we won that damn game, but the bullpen blew it, right?
We just watched one Saturday.
Right.
They just blew one Saturday.
Right. So I will take it. Now, it wasn't the Cincinnati bullpen that imploded by any means, but Riley's two-run dinger, and in the
Two
fifth
balls.
inning. Yeah, in the fifth inning, I believe it was, tied the game up, and it was either the fourth or fifth inning. It was so funny because the Braves broadcasters are so bad, because when they have Nick Green and Paul Bird, and was it Paul Bird last night with Nick Green, or I'm starting to blank on that, because it was Nick Green that was killing. No, it was Brian Jordan. But usually,
Yeah, it was Nick and BJ.
Yeah, but normally you have Paul Bird putting his 2 cents in from the sidelines is just absolutely terrible. And I'm always thinking to myself, can we ever get any guys that were good at this sport to get in the booth? Now, thankfully, Brian Jordan was in there, because Brian Jordan, I love the way, look, I know a lot of people don't like him, whatever, but I like Brian Jordan because he breaks it down the way the game should be played. And he'll call batters out for not advancing a runner. He'll call pitchers out for not doing the little things, being aggressive. Nick Green is an apologist. He's basically a clone of Chip Carey. And though Chip Carey, it's fine for him to be an apologist because he's a play-by-play guy and he's, the company man, so to speak. Dude, Nick Green made some of the worst calls prior to. He was talking about how the Braves had no chance of running up the pitch count because look where it is, and this is going to be tough. That inning, by the way, he had threw like 30 pitches and gave up a 2-run bomb. So it was,
right.
But it's one after another with Nick Green. He's just awful. And he wasn't a good player at all. He was a journeyman utility player. So when I hear him, he seems like a nice guy, but when they have him in the I want to say the studio, but basically the pregame show, and then they cut to them at the 7th inning. He's fine. I don't have a problem with him there. He does not belong in the damn booth. He's terrible. And you can't go to a guy like him, who's probably, I'm guessing, a 213 lifetime hitter somewhere in that neighborhood, and it's going to break down batting.
He might have crossed 230. Give him a little bit of credit. Look, I'm going to agree with you.
I enjoy. Tom Glavine, I enjoy. But when you get these yuckalucks like Jeff Francoeur and Nick Green, it's embarrassing. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, and it shows why they weren't good hitters.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Brian Jordan, for people that don't remember, and the kids would have to wiki him to figure, I mean, he was a 2-sport guy. He was a safety for the Falcons. Like, he was a very, very good athlete.
He was the other. He was the other.
Right. He was the other Deion. Yeah, he was the other Deion Sanders. And his baseball career was kind of cut short by his football injuries, but he was a very good hitter. I enjoy him. He's a little understated. I'll be honest with you, until you mentioned it, I never paid a lot of attention to Chip. Like, play-by-play guys just is not something that I spend a lot of time concerning myself with. But last night, he kept pronouncing the L's in Nick Castellanos' name. And as a Tigers fan who listened to it done right for 6 years when he was there, it was driving me crazy. He kept calling him Castellanos. And I'm like, dude, have you never pronounced a Greek name before? Do you not understand that there are consonants in Greek names that are silent? Like, even Tom Brenneman, when he was getting canceled, said his name correctly.
Well, also, it's not like he is just coming onto the scene either.
No, he's an all-star. He's been in the league 8 years.
Right. He's been in the league for years. So yeah, that's not going to bother me as much as just the dopey comments. We're like, and I quoted it like 4 or 5 times over the past week or so when that dumbass stood up there and said, we've got like 5 guys that could close games. We have 5 closers. No team has that. It's incredible. And that night we blew a lead and then later blew a save. And then of course Saturday, and I forget who it was. It was like the next night someone else blew something, and I just put, and I don't think anyone knew what I was talking about, but I just tweeted, I said, 5 closers. We've got 5 closers. It's like,
you did.
No, because if you have 5 closers, you have none. It's just like if you have 3 quarterbacks, you have 0.
Right.
Because
the old adage: if you got 2 quarterbacks, you got 0 quarterbacks. I don't remember who coined it, but just talking about the standings overall, because I think
it was probably Bobby Bowden coining it to Steve Spurrier, as Steve Spurrier was shuffling quarterbacks. That was just freaking hammering them.
But looking at the standings, I mean, just versus a week ago, we were here, and just to talk about the East in each league, right? Like, here comes Toronto. I think here comes the Yankees and Boston. I mean, we were here a week ago. Boston was, I think,
Here
a
they
game
come
back
for
in
the
Tampa,
wild
or they were
card.
tied. Well, right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Here they come for the wild card. Like that could easily be Yankees Toronto could be the wild card game, which I don't think, you listen to New York sports talk way more than I do. I don't think any Yankees fans had that 3 weeks ago.
I'm telling you right now, the team everyone better watch out for is Oakland because they're 2 games back of Houston. Let's say they catch them. You do not want to play the Houston Astros in a playing game. You just don't. You do not. And it would most likely be in H-Town, right? So, but what I'm pulling for, and I hope they don't do a full-on collapse, but it feels like they're going to. I want Yankees Boston in that wild card game because it would be phenomenal. It would also nail the head on we don't want this wild card playing crap anymore because you're going to be, dude, the ratings were phenomenal. Yankees Boston. Yeah, just imagine if you had 3 of those. Oh man.
Right.
So I've been pounding the table for this specific thing. Jesse can tell you all the way back to the debut of Armchair Quarterbacks. The very first year I was talking about this, and every year we started pulling for it. We've never gotten it, and I'm hoping we get it because this might be the last year of it, right? But I said back then, I said, you get Yankees Boston in 1 game playing, that will end this 1 game playing junk. Right.
In the National League, Dodgers, Padres, or Dodgers, Mets would do the same thing. I mean, those are the executives, walking around Manfred's office,
Mets ain't
dusting his plaque that says it's just a piece of stainless steel. They'd be like, I don't think this is good, boss. The Mets look like they're in a worse spot than Boston. I mean, their owner can't stop tweeting. His trophy wife's on Instagram live, going live every day from the game.
I called this weeks ago, and several people that I know and love dearly told me that the season might just be over. And I was like, no, if you look at the schedule towards the end, the Mets are going to run into a buzzsaw. The Braves schedule gets much easier. The team you got to worry about is the Phillies. Now, here we are, and I'm going to throw this out at you because we need to get to the football here in a second. But let's go ahead and get into some buy or sell.
Buy or sell.
All right. I jotted these down yesterday because they were debating them on a couple of different shows. And I was like, well, this is actually a good topic for us. Buy or sell the Toronto Blue Jays winning the World Series in the next 3 years.
I'm
sorry. Winning the pennant. Excuse me.
I'm going to buy. The reason I like them and think that they're a very dangerous out for anybody, especially in a playing game, in a wild card game, is their run differential, which the nerds love. You score more than you give up. Plus 124, it's 5th in all of baseball. And I know they got off to a kind of rough start playing in a single A park, and then they were in Buffalo, and now they're finally home, and they got some juice behind them. And I do not want to see that lineup in the playoffs, period, because they might put 30 runs on you in 3 games.
I'll tell you what would be phenomenal, though we won't get it, would be a 1 game play-in of the Toronto offense versus the Houston offense. That would be phenomenal. There's no way in hell that's going to happen.
That'd be something.
You would have to have a monumental collapse of both Boston and New York, and you would also have to get the A's to stay hot, which, by the way, they patently sometime in July, late July into early August, every single damn year, the A's go on a ridiculous run. I don't know what's in the water in Oakland, but they're going to miss this when they go to Las Vegas or wherever the hell they go. Because
I just want to make one more point about the Blue Jays really quick. This is their schedule for the rest of August, okay? They have a 4-game set with the White Sox between the 23rd and the 26th. Here's the rest. Angels, Mariners, Nationals, 2 series against the Tigers, Orioles. They might finish this month 24-6. Like they're on the march.
I doubt their pitching will hold that up. I do believe that Toronto could win the pennant in the next 3 seasons, because all they need to really do is add about 1 or 2 arms that they can rely on. The maturation of Alex Manoah, as long as he doesn't hit an injury, You got Ryu. You've got a good 1-2 punch right there. I feel like if they add a couple, and they've never been scared to spend money. They really haven't. So yeah, I'm definitely with you. Buy or sell the Walker Buehler winning the Cy Young in the National League this year, because it's not going to be DeGrom. The guy hasn't pitched enough.
I think unless he falls off a cliff, it's going to be Zach Wheeler. But
that would be my vote. That would be my vote.
My vote would be for Wheeler.
Buehler's numbers are more impressive, but Wheeler plays in a much more difficult park to navigate.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been to a game there. That place it's a bandbox, man. It's a short porch in right field. Balls get out of there easy. Everybody, they're going to play it over and over again.
And you're also going to get the East Coast bias of the writers. There's more East Coast writers than there are West Coast writers.
Right. Absolutely. A lot of them, a lot of East Coast, especially baseball writers. Not saying that that's not true in other sports, but in baseball specifically.
Well, right. But all sports, because, it's just like the media is bigger in the East than it is in the West. It just is, because there's more eyeballs. 75% of your United States population is east of the Mississippi. So
right.
Just by that alone, that you're going to have more baseball writers over in the.
I'm gonna sell just because you can talk me into it. He's pitched great this year, but I'm gonna sell just because I think it's Wheeler's to lose at this point, unless he gets hurt or falls off a cliff. I don't see any scenario where he doesn't win it.
And buy or sell the Philadelphia Phillies winning the NL East.
I'm gonna sell. I still think the Braves are the best team in that division. Sadly, they've played most of their games against each other already. I think they only have that 3-game set left the last series of the year. If my memory is remembering the Braves calendar correctly, and I think it is, which kind of stinks because it'd be nice if they played more games down the stretch. But I don't think a wild card is coming out of that division, and I really like the way Atlanta's playing right now, and they've still got moves to make. We haven't even talked about DFA and Shane Green, which is the right move because he's been awful, and bringing Minter back up. But I think the Braves are pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't think it was even worth those 6 seconds that you wasted on Shane Green, to be honest with you. Who gives it?
Yeah.
It's money they swallowed. Bye-bye. This is what you get when you hold out, and you have now wrecked your career because no one's going to give you any kind of money next year. You're going to have to go on a he's going to have to he's going to have to come back somewhere on a minimum salary. All right, let's go ahead and move on from that junk. No one cares about Shane Green, what the hell he's doing right now. He goes to the land of Cole Hamels, who, by the way, is now a Dodger. Watch that son of a gun get a ring, which will not make me happy at all. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the Ohio State Buckeyes as we are going to go ahead and fly into this pretty quickly. Because on the other side, we got to do NFL and other things. But the Ohio State Buckeyes, as we hit the first quarter, I know it was a long batting practice, but baseball, there's a lot going on this year, or this time of year. The Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, obviously, Sean, the big thing is replacing Justin Fields. No matter what people think, you can't just plug and play. And it looks like it's going to be C.J. Stroud, but what say you?
Yeah, I mean, they've also got Jack Miller and Kyle McCord, a 5-star recruit. But no matter which way they go about it, they're going to be starting a guy who's barely seen the field, right? Stroud and Miller have seen a little bit in mop-up duty last year, but definitely not, seasoned veterans. And Kyle McCord was, at his prom, 4 months ago. So he's coming straight out of high school. Nothing will give you a derailment season, right? We've seen very lauded programs, even programs who've won national titles, fall off the next year when trying to replace a lot of starters. If one of those starters is a quarterback, we saw it at LSU. We've seen it previous times at Alabama and Georgia. This is a very, very interesting year to see what kind of coach Ryan Day is. I'm not talking about a program builder or recruiter. He's top of the class really in the Big Ten when it comes to those two things. But what kind of a coach is he? Because he came in, with basically a ready-made team when Urban stepped down, and he went from, one experienced quarterback in Dwayne Haskins to another experienced quarterback in Justin Fields, who's a one-of-a-kind talent. By all accounts, Stroud is very good, but he's not the same kind of athlete as Fields. and you're
I mean, who
you're
the hell is,
replacing
right?
right. Who is? You're replacing your quarterback. You're replacing Trey Sermon, but Murfreesboro's own Master Teague is right there. He's a very good running back to pick up the slack. You're still getting Chris Olave back. You're replacing a couple of offensive linemen. They've never struggled to replace that. The big concern for them, for me, is on the back end, because they're replacing a few guys that went to the NFL. And they kind of got torched a little bit in the back end in that Alabama game, and kind of exposed how weak they were and how undeep they were at that position, which is very, very unlike Ohio State. So this can be a real test for Day this year, and they get no breaks right off the bat. I mean, we'll talk about the schedule in a minute, but they come out hot.
Yeah, and look, they've got some names that you like, and look, Ohio State's always going to have a handful of guys that they're going to go in the first couple of rounds. That's just they are a juggernaut of a program. But I don't believe this is going to be one of their years where they're going to be, unless I'm wildly wrong about CJ Stroud. But you get a freshman coming in who, like you said, as we dive into their schedule, he's going to be thrown into the fire quickly, and he's not going to be able here. Look, here's the thing. I don't think Ohio State can absorb more than maybe one loss, and even that might be pushing it, and still make the playoffs. Because Georgia and Clemson are going to have that big clash at the beginning of the year. And some think that might be a detriment to whoever loses, but it really isn't. It helps your resume. And they don't have that out of conference other than the Oregon game, which is in Buckeye land. But I think Oregon's going to beat them, to be perfectly honest with you. I think, it's the second game of the season. They start off at Minnesota on a Thursday night, which I love, by the way. And I love the fact that it's going to be on It's going to be on Big Boy Fox. It's not just going to be
it is.
It's not going to be like on FS2, like right after like a double header of cricket or something.
No, man, that's prime time. That's Gus and Brock. That's going to be a good one.
Then the following week on September 11th, they're going to host Oregon. They'll be at home against Tulsa, home against Akron. I think they're 3-1 coming out of that. What say you?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't want to do the whole schedule because I'll let you go through it. But I mean, there's really 4 games on the schedule that are a hazard, right? That are a caution if you're a Buckeyes fan. I just don't see any way they finish 4-0. And again, we haven't done, predictions. That's in a couple weeks. But I mean, I don't see a Big Ten team in the college football playoff. I just don't this year. I think there are other teams that just have an easier path. And if it's not Ohio State, I don't think it's going to be Indiana. I don't think it's going to be Wisconsin. I don't think it's going to be Penn State.
Let's go ahead and cut to that, Chase, and go to those 4 games, because I'm thinking that you're talking about outside of the beginning of Oregon and Minnesota. They're at Indiana. They're at home against Penn State. And then they're at Michigan to finish the year. Is there a game that I'm missing there that you think is a bigger stumbling block or a stumbling block?
No, absolutely not. And I mean, at Nebraska, home for Purdue, home for Michigan.
Not with those goofy uniforms you shared to me this morning. They ain't going.
Oh, good Lord.
Those are the worst. If I would have known that was there, that would have been the picture next to me. I'll try to remember to share it later in the week or whatever. But those are goofy. If y'all have not seen them, I will definitely share them in a second on all our social media pages. But wow.
Me and Trosh haven't been able to confirm or deny if those are legit, but we've seen them on multiple reporting outlets as what was announced for the September 11th game, which, God, I hope that's a troll job, because that's
when you look at them, they're red pants with a red top, slash, but it looks like
overalls.
They turn the jersey into overalls with the red overall and the sleeves are white. So it looks like they're wearing
Lord.
Those
are so back to Ohio State. Those are the 5. So
those are almost as bad, and I've never put anything next to it. They're almost as bad as those Gator ones that they came out a couple of years ago that were supposed to look like reptile skin. And so they was supposed to be like a dark green, but it looked like poop.
I remember those.
Oh my God.
I need to check them out.
They were poop brown.
Lord.
So you had the Florida Gators running around wearing poop brown, and like their diehards are going, "Oh man, they're pretty good," and everyone's going, "Really?" Even Tony was like, Awful. Luckily, I haven't seen Florida State wear something that bad yet, but I don't like to brag like that because next thing I know, it's going to come out. And they're going to have butterfly wings or something on the back of there. All right. Where does Ohio State finish this year? Because we got to run to break.
I think they finished with 2 losses. And I think it's going to be definitely Oregon. I would love to say that Minnesota is going to get them because they might, PJ Fleck knows that program. He's going to have his team ready. We did their breakdown. He's got a pretty veteran team, and they started the year getting embarrassed last year against Michigan. So, I mean, they're going to be all kinds of vinegared and fired up for that game at home in prime time. You can talk me into Minnesota beating them. I mean, if they're 0-2 out of the jump, oh my God, the press in Columbus they're going to be foaming at the mouth. As much as I'd love to say the Michigan game is a hazard, it's really not, because by that point in the season, Day's going to have the kinks worked out. And yeah, Harbaugh is going to be toast. So I'm going to take 2 losses. I say 10-2, 1 loss.
I say 3.
I like it.
I say they are going to lose 3. Maybe it's the bowl game, but they will lose at least 3. Okay. I think, look, that's a tough gate when you go out there. All right, Minnesota's got something to prove, but let's just say they get by there. I do believe Oregon's going to beat them. The only thing that could help Ohio State on that is it is an early kickoff, and for college kids that could be rough. But Indiana, I believe, is absolutely a loss, and then I believe they're going to lose one of these games. Penn State the following week, right after Indiana, where they could be beat up all to hell. At Rutgers, which is not going to be a pushover by any means anymore. And then at Michigan is going to be a difficult road test. There, at some point, Harbaugh has to win against Ohio State or he will be looking for a job. That's just all there's.
You'd like to think so.
So if he's going to do it, he's going to do it a year where he's at home hosting a freshman quarterback. All right, we've got to run to a break. When we come back, it's Cincinnati Bengals time, and we'll be talking the Bengals. We're also going to unveil the trophy that we'll all be playing for here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. So stay tuned. It's I gotta get the crane out to bring that thing in. So if y'all hear a loud crash during the break, that's what happened. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
You're very lucky that you're with somebody as resilient as Frank Reynolds.
You tried to off yourself 2 times in the last 24 hours, Frank.
Here in St. Augustine, Top Gun Supply is the friendly gun shop. Top Gun Supply stocks a wide range of firearms. They buy and sell used guns. Top Gun Supply at 525 State Road 16 in St. Augustine. The friendly gun shop, a proud sponsor of the Armchair Quarterbacks. ACC football covered like no other here on the Armchair Quarterback.
Against the blitz, touchdown Florida State. Preston scores the touchdown, and now it's Bowden's decision, and he sends Mowry onto the field right away. Danny Cannell is the holder. Mowry ties it. This game is over. A 31-31 tie. A 31-31 tie.
A deep throw by Lawrence, a lot of contact. Justin Ross broke free from it. He's down in the end zone. Touchdown, Clemson. Justin Ross, a freshman wide receiver, big, rangy, and Trevor Lawrence knows. Throw it up against that single coverage. Give him a chance to make a play on a 50-50 ball.
If you're a fan of the ACC, pull up an armchair. You're home.
What's going on out here? Everybody's clapping out there. Nobody's clapping. Everybody.
You're riding Morning Shotgun with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here weekdays, your first choice for sports talk here on the First Coast.
Listen in your office, in your car, or even your neighborhood bar. You can listen with your whole family. You are.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the exciting adventure of the daily commute to the peace of mind that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service and legendary customer service. But Pamela Mund had one reason in particular.
My skin is extremely averse to most fabrics, except for the soft, buttery feeling of leather. Thankfully, I found my clan of leather lovers in the biking community. It's been life-changing.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
We're crab people now.
We're crab people now?
Yes.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Armchair Quarterbacks. I don't know if I like that though. It says electric is the name of it. That doesn't sound very electric. That's about to put me to sleep. All right. Well,
I love that clip you shared during the break. I don't think enough people have seen the Billy Sims drop kick hurdle. That's a good one. That's an oldie but goodie. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, I come across a lot of this stuff off of TikTok and a couple other platforms. And when I see something that I think that can be used without having to hear it, I'll grab it. And then the funny ones are the ones that I grab for the intro, like the lady this morning doing the imitation of the club sandwich guy. Like that to me is funny as hell. Anyways, here she is in all her glory, and I about dropped the damn thing. It's heavy. My wife's the one. Well, strange enough, my wife's the one that talked me into this one. She finds it and she's like, so what you probably can't see because of the glare is that previous champions are on here. So this starts at 2014 and that rolls all the way. So the top one over here, sorry, I'm trying to, there you go. The top one over here. Now I see why I was never a weather girl. That
amongst many other reasons.
That is O'Toole for the 2020 championship. And I know Trosh is on there. I know Doug is on there. I'm on there several times, but I'm afraid if I turn it and read it off, I'm going to break the damn thing. But anyways, that will be on display behind me somewhere in the very near future. And that's what you're playing for that Wednesday morning. It's a live draft here on
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, it's a live draft. 3 weeks, I think.
3 weeks. Okay, got it.
September 1st. So it's a live draft here on YouTube. It is a standard draft, not standard rules, but it's a snake draft. It's not it's not an auction because I can't do 300 things at once. Only 298. So it's like,
man,
I've tried this before. Now the YouTube After Dark one that we're doing Friday night, that's an auction one, but I don't care as much because that's not getting broadcasted on radio. So I don't care if we have dead air. We're just gonna have fun with it, and it is what it is, right? But the one on that day, that one's on live radio, and I don't want a bunch of dead silence where you and I are trying to figure out how much money to put down Tyler Higbee. You know,
plus an auction. Can you imagine an auction draft on live radio? Someone would just spend all their money and they'd be gone in like 6 minutes. They'd be like, "All right, I'm out. Show's over for me."
Dip.
That'd be Waller. Waller, do it again. He's on auto draft.
So others are free to join us on that Wednesday morning, but it's Sean and I doing the show. I don't know who else, because look, it's a Wednesday morning. A lot of people probably can't work that into their schedule, but they'll be drafting. I just don't know if I know you and I will be reacting and having fun and making fun of them. But but as far as everyone can join that Friday night. Anyone can
right
on that. So pretty much expect that Wednesday will just be very, very loosey-goosey kind of show, because it starts right at, I think, 8:30. So the show, the whole point of this, the show is going to actually come on YouTube a few minutes before, because I don't want to be running around hitting buttons and stuff, and I get auto drafted. So we'll probably start the feed around 8:15. Sean, you jump on whenever you can, but I'm probably gonna start the feed around 8:15, just so I'm not running around like the chicken with my head cut off. All right. Speaking of chickens with their head cut off, it's time to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Zing, Brian, zing.
That's a good transition.
Cincinnati Bengals, man. I don't think they're going to be as bad as everyone thinks that they're going to be. I think they're going to be entertaining. I think they're going to be a notch above what the Jacksonville Jaguars will be this year. By the way, did you hear the news that the Jaguars are saying that what is his last name? CJ, the defensive back from the University Henderson is on the trade block.
Agolini won't stop tweeting about it. He is furious because he's a Gator.
Oh,
and also, Tony's a Jags fan, and I mean, I like Tony. He's probably my favorite person I haven't interacted with much of all the hosts we have. And he had a great point last night. He's like, you kind of got to put him on the field if you want to trade him. Like, you can't just tell him to stand over there and catch water. That ain't gonna work. He ain't gonna get anything for him.
That's the Gator in him. That's the Gator fan. See, Tony's a Jaguar fan-ish, but he's a Gator fan first, and he's gonna be upset like I was upset when they traded away Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
That's a little different story. Jalen Ramsey wanted out because Coughlin was a mental patient, and and not that I think that Jalen Ramsey would actually pass with flying covers in any kind of study in Vienna. But what I'm saying is that heads clashed, and you had a crappy head coach that they wouldn't fire for it's kind of felt like a decade. But this is such a big story, dude. I woke up to it this morning on New York radio.
Right.
Talking about it because Patrick Robinson of the Saints retired yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the thought is they might be sending Michael Thomas to the Jaguars.
Whoa.
For CJ Henderson. And of course, probably other things. But how about that? How about those? That's the wires I connected. Now they never mentioned that this morning. They're like, man, they really need a defensive back. Jaguars could use a receiver that hates where he is. He's like, man, I'll take my chances on Trevor Lawrence. I'm digging this Jameis Winston / Taysom Hill combo y'all got going on around town.
That's an interesting thought. I hadn't seen that. I haven't seen that reported. Obviously, I've seen reporting about Henderson, but we'll get to the Jags, at some point when we do predictions. I'm actually a big fan this year.
It fills needs for two teams.
Yeah. I just are you so deep at cornerback that you can afford to give up a guy who looked lost? He looked lost in his first year, but he's only been in the league a year.
When he got drafted, and I was laughed out of the building by the game. He was overdrafted. They drafted him in the top 10. They had no business drafting him that high.
He was like 7th, right?
Yeah,
I think it was 7th.
It was either 7th or 8th. It was not below 8. I know that because for some reason 7, 8 sticks in my mind. I think you're right. It was 7, but at the worst it was 8. And my point of it back then was, if that's who you really wanted, then trade back because he would have been there. You grabbed a guy who's short, who does not have what they like to call great twitch. He dominated in the SEC, sure. But shutting down Vanderbilt receivers is not as impressive as being able to go out there. And now they're going, well, dude, you're going to have to go up against Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Michael Pittman. If I were the Jaguars, I would take a chance on Michael Thomas, who's locked up for the next 3 years.
Yep.
And say, look, you come over to us. You're by the way, we're going to get you healthy, my man. If you need surgery, you're going to get another surgery. If you need whatever,
Right.
whatever. Because this isn't the year. We don't give a damn. And we're going to give him C.J. Henderson, and we're going to give him Gardner Minshew. Can we get Gardner Minshew out of here? Trade for Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas. Have Jameis Winston and Tim Tebow on the same team, baby. But that's what I would do in there. So we'll put a pin in that because it's time to talk Cincinnati Bengals. But that's an interesting report, no doubt. All right, the Bengals. Like I said, I think this is a team that can be exciting, and I'm assuming Joe Burrow is going to come back with all guns a-blazing. I'm not expecting him to have some big drop off that it was like some debilitating injury he won't be able to get over. This is 2021, not 1964. They don't just take you outside and shoot you because you sprained an ankle. So Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, even Drew Sample. Can I get you excited about that offense for 2021? Because I am. I think there could be fantasy gold here and there.
Yeah, I mean, so the big deal last year was they just couldn't keep him upright. So, I mean, they spent on it, right? They brought in Riley Reif from Minnesota. Riley Reif was drafted by the Lions. I'm very familiar with his works. If you put him at left tackle, you got problems. If you put him at right tackle, he's perfectly fine. He's a league average or better starter at that position. You got Jonah Williams at the other tight end spot. And then in the middle, Hopkins, Spain, and Jordan, who were all fine. It's an average offensive line, which is not what they had last year. Look, could
by the way, I don't mean to laugh or cut you off, but while we were talking about that, I didn't see the screen, and now I see the screen while we were talking about the Jags. Brian, our resident viewer, who's a big time Bengals fan, he goes, "This isn't a Jag show. Come on, focus."
It's like the grandma in him. It's like the grandma in American Pie too. Pay attention. Focus.
All right. Back to the Bengals.
Right. The defense is bad. I mean, there's just no way to say it. Right. You paid Trey Hendrickson, who was an undrafted guy that had a really, really impressive sack total in New Orleans. But if you actually do a deep dive on him, especially PFF, really wasn't a huge fan of his, thought he got a lot of easy sacks and sacks that were created by other people's pressure. So can he do it on his own? I don't really know. You got DJ Reader there, who's been around the league. You paid Trey Waynes, which is wild that he's still getting paid in the league because he wasn't good when he came out of Michigan State and kind of was okay as a zone cornerback in Minnesota's system under Mike Zimmer. But hey, mentioning your point, could they be the Raiders, right? The Raiders last year were kind of fun and exciting, right? Could they go 7-10 and be the Raiders? Absolutely. If they can keep Burrow upright. Because I mean, he had his leg darn near amputated by Chase Young last year. So you got to keep him clean, give him time to hit Chase, and use those weapons. But absolutely, they could be fun. This needs to be a step forward year. Mike Brown is not the most patient owner.
One of the signings that I did like was the Mike Hilton signing out of the Steelers.
Yep.
I felt like that they needed a guy with some edge to come over. Now, I'm not saying let's have so much edge that we're rehashing the Pac-Man Jones years. I'm saying they needed some guy with some kind of an edge. So I like the Hilton signing. I don't think that the Awuzie signing's terrible either. So you add 2 defensive backs, which I think is huge, 2 veteran defensive backs in a division that you're going to have to figure out how to shut down Baker Mayfield, the 47 wide receivers that are trying to make the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. And God forbid Lamar Jackson learns how to throw a forward pass. So
I think he will eventually.
Right. I like what they did and the fact that they did go get the right tackle, Riley Reif. Do I think he's the end all, the beats all? No, but he could be a bridge. Do I think Eli Apple is the answer? No, he never has been anywhere. But I think that guy's just more depth than anything else, right?
I agree.
So I like what the Bengals are doing. This just may not be the year that it gets done.
Right.
So let's go ahead and dive into their schedule because we're going to run out of time here. By the way, preseason, they play this Saturday at Tampa. So if you're in Florida, you might be able to catch that game live. But as far as national games, they are on NFL Network next Friday, August 20th, against the Washington football team, which is, I like to see that. That should be a lot of fun because that should be everyone's dress rehearsal.
Right.
And then on the 29th, they're at home against Miami on a Sunday, and that's actually going to be on the Big Boy CBS. But the regular season, which by the way is like draft day for a lot of people because of the way it sets up. I know we got like 3 drafts that day, or maybe it's 4. The season starts off like this, though, Sean. They're at home against Minnesota, and then they're at Chicago, at Pittsburgh, and at home against Jacksonville. Where do you?
Which is a Thursday night game. It's too funny to mention because they just keep throwing the Jags on Thursday night football.
Well, they have to. They put every team on there at least once. It's like a part of the rule. And for once, it's not the Tennessee Titan game. It's normally the Tennessee Titan game with mustard uniforms in Jacksonville and baby blues in Tennessee, and let's go. At least to me, this is a fun one because they're going to have Jacksonville versus Cincinnati. It's Burrow versus Lawrence. So that could be a lot of fun. And it's not Lawrence's first game, so he should be somewhat acclimated by then. Where do you see them after those first 4 games?
I got them probably at 2-2. I actually think they could take the Chicago game. I don't know that the Bears are going to start Justin Fields. We haven't done that yet. I think they're going to trot out Dalton for the first month of the season because Nagy, thinks that will save his job if he starts a veteran. I don't think it's going to matter either way. I think Nagy's dead man walking. But I got them at 2-2 after the first 4. They'll either get Minnesota or Chicago, and I think they're just better than Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'll get to mine at the end because it takes too long if we're both doing it. All right, so the next 5 games before they hit the bye, Green Bay is at home, at Detroit, at Baltimore, at New York, and at home against Cleveland. So they're going to have 5 road games in the first 9 games. Where do you see them going into their bye week?
I got them at 4-5. I think they'll beat the Lions. Gives me no joy to say that. And I think they'll beat the Jets. I think the Lions and the Jets are 2 of the, probably bottom 3 to 4 teams in the league looking forward to next year's draft, barring miracles. So I think going into the bye, you're 4-5, you feel good about yourself. And then, here's where we'll get into, where are the wins in the back half of the schedule? Because it's hard to find them.
They're at Vegas coming off the bye week. They're at home against Pittsburgh, at home against the Chargers, at home against the 49ers, a 3-game home streak. You don't normally see that in the National Football League. At Denver. Where are they at? Take me to the San Francisco game. So at LA, or sorry, at Las Vegas, and then 3 home games against Pittsburgh, LA, and LA Chargers and the 49ers.
So on paper, you would say they're going to have a tough time winning any of those, but I think they're going to get one of the 3, either Vegas, Los Angeles, or San Francisco. They could really get the Chargers, right? You and I talk about it on the handicappers, the West to East thing, right? That's a big deal. That matters, and it messes teams up for whatever reason. The Chargers are a young team.
Those are back-to-back weeks, man. Back-to-back weeks. It's 1 o'clock because back-to-back weeks. LA and San Francisco are coming to Cincinnati.
I've got them at 5-8. I think the Raiders are better than them. I think Pittsburgh's definitely better than them, but I think they'll get one of the Chargers or San Francisco.
So are the
coming
Pittsburgh
West
Steelers going to sweep them then?
I think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we finish it all off with at Denver, at home against Baltimore and Kansas City, and then at Cleveland. That's where it all falls apart. All right. Where do you have them at the end?
I got them at 6-11. They'll either win the Denver game or that last game of the year against Cleveland won't mean anything to Cleveland because they'll maybe sewn up the North or at least sewn up a playoff spot or can't change their position. So they'll sit everybody. But I got them finishing 6-11. Could they be 7-10? Sure. But I think 5 to 6 wins. I think their Vegas over under right now is, I've seen it at 5 and I've seen it at 5.5. Seems to be the general number that I've seen the most often. I would take that over. I wouldn't put $15,000 on it, but I'd put $100 on it.
I have the Cincinnati Bengals finishing 8-9. And I believe that you could talk me into them actually getting a winning record. And that may not sound that impressive, but we have just expanded the playoffs to 7 teams in each conference. If you're 8-9, if you're 9-8, you are in the conversation for the playoff hunt all the way through the month of December and into January. And that, to me, if I'm a Bengals fan, I'd be happy with. I don't necessarily believe that they're going to make the playoffs, but if some things break their way and some of these games that look daunting and unwinnable, those teams have injuries, you never know. And I believe that when you get 3 consecutive home games, you're going to get at least one of those W's. And you might even get 2. So it would not shock me. So that's where we differ a little bit in weeks 12 through 14. I think they probably go at least 1 and 2, if not 2 and 1. Don't ask me today which ones are going to win, but I believe that. I think the beginning of the season is going to be favorable to them. That 3-game road trip is going to be tough at Detroit, at Baltimore, at the Jets. It's not necessarily the teams. It's tough to go 3. If you can somehow figure out a way to go 2 and 1 in that, winning the Detroit game like you talked about, and winning the Jets game, dropping the Baltimore game, dude, that's a win across the board. And then coming out,
step forward,
right? And look, I don't necessarily think that the Vegas Raiders are going to drop the game at home against Cincinnati, but I will say this: teams that come out of a bye, and I don't have the Raiders schedule for me, but teams that come out of a bye, they have an advantage. They have a huge advantage. So
rested,
right?
Fresh.
They could start off hot in that second half when you get the Vegas trip out of the way that you're coming off a bye on, and then you have 3 consecutive home games, and then you're at Denver. 5 of 6 games are at home. I mean, look, the back half, there's some good teams they're playing, but they're also home games.
Right.
It gets cold in Ohio, and that's all I'm putting out there, man. It gets cold in Ohio that time of year, and I don't know if those LA Chargers or San Francisco 49ers are going to get off that plane and go, whew, I'm glad it's snowing in my face. I love ice. I've seen many of my teams from Florida go up there north, and you can tell they didn't want to be on the field the moment the game kicked off.
Right. This will be a little nod to Brian. I'm sorry to bring up any bad memories, but yeah, those West Coast teams coming east into Ohio late in the year. I mean, that weather is more unwelcome than Kimo von Oelhoffen is in Cincinnati. And Brian, I'm sorry if you get that reference.
All right, let's go ahead and real quick, where do you think that the Browns are going to be at this year? Are they your favorite to win that division, or is it still Baltimore?
No, they're my favorite to win the division, but I think a lot rests on Baker this year. I think teams are going to stack the box against them and really force him to beat teams with his arm. I mean, that defense is insane. Clowney is not what people believe he is, but if you put him across from Garrett, he could be what he was when he first came out, because he's going to see a lot of one-on-one easy matchups. And they're going to be able to stunt him and do things like that. But it's all going to come down to Baker. I mean, again, they were a really good story last year. I was so pulling for them, which is very unlike me against the Steelers, because I've just had enough of Ben. And I mean, they were a very exciting team down the stretch, but I think they got a target on their back. So how do they play now with the bullseye on their back when they're not, the plucky upstart that's trying to overtake people?
Because they didn't play very well with the bullseye on their back 2 years ago, right? So yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
it's going to be. I do believe that we've seen a maturation of Mayfield, and so I think that's going to be the big. And look, OBJ is going to be playing for a contract, so he's going to come
big
out
contract.
But will that cause crap in the locker room? That's my biggest concern. He comes back, There's only one football. He's going to be a free agent. Is he going to be upset if they're 6-2, but he's only averaging 60 yards a game?
Not only is he going to be a free agent, but so is Landry. You think Landry wants some touches? I mean, it's interesting times.
And then, of course, the backfield. Forget about it. All right, it's time to turn back time and get the hell on out of jail. By the way, the Take Me Out to the Ball Game is dropping right about now on Armchair Quarterbacks Radio as well, where we get you caught up in the news and notes of the it's a good turn back time today. If you like broadcasters, if you like the broadcasting history, it's a pretty good turn back time today. This date in history is what I do. All right. On this date in 1951, 70 years ago, I would have never thought this, John. The New York Football Giants win a football game. They beat the Canadian Football League's Ottawa Rough Riders in Ottawa 38-6. I'm not surprised that the Giants won. I'm surprised that the Giants were playing a team in the CFL. I guess it was some kind of a preseason game. But that is actually crazy. Also on this date, 1951, if you're a fan of the New York Giants baseball, they lose to go 13 and a half games behind the Brooklyn Dodgers. And this is the famed year of them come roaring all the way back from 13 and a half games to win the pennant in the play-in. This is the famed, the Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. All right, birthday.
Bobby Thompson.
That's right. Cheating bastard. Where's I hit the wrong damn thing. That doesn't sound anything like
it's your birthday today.
All right. Dead guy. He was born in 1913, passed away in 1985. Bob Scheffling. For people who don't know who Bob Scheffling was, he was nicknamed Grumpy, native of Overland, Missouri, but he was a Chicago Cub. He played for the Cubs for about 10 years. Then he played for the Reds and tried to make one last stab at it with the Cardinals, but to no avail. He managed the Cubs from 57 to 59 and then managed the Detroit Tigers in the early 60s. What jumps out to him about me is that if you look at his career stats, so he played a little over 10 years in Major League Baseball, separated by the war. He had a batting average of 263, which would probably lead the league today, but had just 20 home runs. And 20 home runs his entire career, and the guy had almost a 10-year baseball career. Now that's saying something. All right, other birthdays, guys who are alive. Hulk Hogan, baby.
Oh, Lord.
Which I didn't know he's from Augusta, Georgia, but Hulk Hogan, he is, man, say it ain't so. 74?
Sounds right.
That ain't right.
When he became famous, like in rock and wrestling started, he was already in his mid-30s. Like he was losing his hair already. Like that's a big misnomer.
Here's another one that shocks me because I feel like he ought to be older. Melky Cabrera is 37 today. I feel like he was 37 when he first broke into the league. What is your walk-off for the day?
My walk-off is
dude, Craig Elo. How old do you think he is right now?
The shot was in 87? So 55.
He is the ripe old age of 60 today.
Oh, that's close.
Put that in your pipe and make you feel old. All right, what's your walk off, sir? Sorry,
man. My walk off is go Braves. Tukey. I was live in Atlanta to see a bad Tukey start against the Brewers. You know, he lost a really good Tukey start in a 2-1 game against the Phillies. We need good Tukey today. I need the Nationals to finish off the Mets, pour a little more dirt on their grave, so their owner can keep tweeting, and his trophy wife can keep going on her Instagram complaining about the team. Fire everybody, Cohen. Pay Javi Baez $280 million. Come on, you got this. I need Nats. I need Braves. Let's go. Let's have a great Wednesday.
My walk-off is, it's evidently National Presidential Joke Day. So I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know it existed.
Do we need a day for everything? Seriously, do we need a day for everything? Like,
I don't think we need a day for that because I feel like the entire 4-year span is going to be a joke. All right, we'll see. Zing, zing, zing. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow. Great job, Sean. I'll see you on Saturday. And
yes, Saturday.
And we will be doing the handicappers. All right. See y'all.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on the CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.